Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday we have Sturmwind EX, an enhanced port of the Dreamcast indie shoot 'em up. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. Sturmwind originally released on the Dreamcast in April 2013. About 12 years after the system had been officially discontinued. It's from German developer Duranic, and now in 2019 we have Sturmwind EX, which is an enhanced port for the PC that's available on Steam, courtesy of the developer and publisher Be Alive. I'll include a link in the description below if you're interested in checking this out. I highly encourage you to do so, as it's one that I've had a lot of fun with. It borrows, or rather, it has some systems that are really similar to one of my favorite shoot 'em ups of all time, Axelay. So if you like that game in particular, this is one that I can definitely recommend. So what kind of gameplay do we have here? Going into the start game, we have two possible ways to play through the game. There's the mission mode and the arcade mode. The primary difference here is the way they handle continuing and the number of stages. In mission mode, you'll have access to 16 stages in the game, where in arcade mode you only have 6 stages, but you have to play through all of them with one continue. In mission mode, you can select your difficulty and then you can start on any stage that you've reached. So if you want to stop and come back to the game later, that's a possibility, and it's one of those kind of systems that I really like. Just being able to pick up and play either your favorite level or being able to play a game across multiple sessions is a great way to experience a shoot 'em up. And it's a system I feel should be in just about any shoot 'em up that exists in the year 2019. So we'll start at the first level here, 1-1 Sturmwind, and just kind of work our way through it. I'll be able to go and show off the game systems pretty well that way. So right off the bat, we can see that this game, especially when you're considering that it released for the Dreamcast, this game just looks amazing. So, of course, one thing about that, though, is that for the Dreamcast it would have had a 4:3 aspect ratio, but now it's available in 16:9 presentation. So, it's a horizontal scrolling shoot 'em up where we've got a couple really awesome weapon systems available to us. So this ship starts with 3 pre-equipped weapons. And I might get the pronunciation a little bit off on here, but there's the Lich Blitz, which happens to be this blue laser. Then we can change to the Nordwest. And, oh, dang it, I lost that. The Nordwest is probably my favorite weapon to use in the game, as it reminds me of the round Vulcan from Axelay, which happens to be a weapon that would start at the back of the ship and sweep forward to the front of the ship. And then if you release your fire button, then it sweeps back to the back of the ship. And this one handles it the same way, and I absolutely love it. It's really great for controlling enemies that are coming from above and below. Then we also have the Riddell, which is this nice... dang it. Just as I change to it, I happen to get hit. So that gives me the chance to talk about one of the systems in the game. So, like Axelay, if you happen to get hit while you have a weapon equipped, you will lose that weapon. And if you lose all 3 of your weapons in Axelay, then you'll be at a critical state where you're only able to fire the most basic weapon and missile, and then you would eventually die. That's not entirely the case here in Sturmwind. So in Sturmwind, if you've lost 2 of your 3 weapons and then you take a hit, then you're dead at that point. But one thing that's different is the power-ups that a lot of enemies drop that start off with a point value of 1,000, and as you shoot them change into various icons. The N, which is for our Nordwest weapon. There's then the R for the Riddell, and the L for the, let's see, Blitz. you'll be able to restore that weapon. So, if provided there happen to be enemies with power-ups coming up after a point where you get hit, you can restore that hit or HP, as it were, for the weapon that you're using. Also, those power-ups, if you happen to pick up the same weapon that you currently are using, then you'll get additional drones. Those drones add additional firepower, and not only that, you can change their position so you can have them fire in front or behind, depending on what kind of firepower you need for your current situations. Not only can you change the position of the drones, but you can also change the position of your main weapon as well. We can change and focus our main weapon behind us, or we can aim it back to the front. So that was the boss of the first stage taken out. Once you complete a stage, you get this progress, and if even in mission mode, if we want to, we can continue from here. One thing I do like about this progress indicator is it gives you a percentage of time that you used each individual weapon throughout the run, and that's awesome just to see which one you relied on. In a lot of my runs, when I'm not trying to show off the different weapons, it'll be almost exclusively be the Nordwest if I can keep it, but that's just preference. So I love the weapons that the game has, and I love the way you switch between them, and also that they act in a way as your health. So, but that's not all we have as far as weapon systems are concerned. We also have a smart bomb, and the number of smart bombs you have are indicated under your weapons indicator there in the top right as that nuclear symbol. So I'll show that off when we actually come across a boss, or let's change to firing behind us. When I come to a boss or a mini boss that warrants that kind of firepower, as it actually is incredibly powerful. It does a lot of damage and is really great at taking out bosses. At least on easier difficulties, you could take out a boss with two of them without too much difficulty. So, one thing that I haven't been talking about, one other system. You also have a smart beam that you can charge up. It's similar to the charge shot from the R-Type, but it's possible to overcharge your weapon to the point where it overheats. And if you hold the button down too long, it will completely overheat, and you'll actually destroy the weapon you have as if you'd taken a hit. So you definitely don't want to do that, so you'll have to be careful on how long you happen to charge your weapons. So one thing that hopefully I can get to come up, but no guarantees, one thing that haven't talked about but has come up on the screen a few times, if you can destroy all the enemies in a wave, then there's a chance that you'll get a wave bonus. I'm not sure if it's consistent for all waves, or if there's some waves that will give you the wave bonus and some that don't. There we go. If you shoot the letters wave bonus as they come on the screen, then you'll be awarded a star, and that star is very important. So you see that there's a star with a number to the right of it at the top of the screen. That is our multiplier. So the more wave bonuses you get, the more stars you're able to obtain, the higher your multiplier will be. So with just one star, you earn, say, 100% of points from destroying the enemies. Then at 2 stars, it'd be 200%. This boss right here is a perfect one to use the nuke on. So it does a really good job of encompassing the entire stage and dealing really heavy damage to everything on there. So the more stars we have, the greater our multiplier will be, and the higher the score we'll be able to get. So you want to collect as many stars as possible, completing the wave bonuses and shooting the requisite, lost a life there, the requisite letters to get those stars. So this is a section that I feel the Nordwest does a really good job just sweeping it back and forth, clearing the stage. So one thing that I thought was pretty interesting about this title is it actually began development all the way back in 1997. So it was originally supposed to be a title for the Atari Jaguar, but partially just due to the late time in development, as well as this is actually kind of a tough boss, as well as other factors, it was actually canceled for the Jaguar, though there was some demos that were available from it, from what I understand. Then it would resurface again 13 years later, and this time as a Dreamcast title. And it would take a while for that Dreamcast title to come to fruition as well. Oh. Got a game over right as we defeated the boss. That's too bad. Anyway, moving on, we'll just continue our trek through the stages on stage 1-3. And there were a lot of mention of the title, then it would disappear for a little bit, and finally in 2013 it saw a physical release for the Dreamcast, which I think, once again, just developing a title for a system that's been discontinued for so many years, just awesome. So there we have it. Sturmwind served up for your enjoyment. Let's talk a little bit about the minus and the plus flavors. So the minus flavors. The big one that I have is this game looks beautiful with those beautiful pre-rendered backgrounds and sprites, but unfortunately sometimes with all this beautiful background, it's hard to tell what will actually deal damage to you and what won't. And even there are certain situations in some later stages where it's inconsistent. You're not sure if you can pass through a section or not, and one area where you can't pass through will deal damage to you. Another area that looks exactly the same, you can pass through, and it will not deal damage to you. So, kind of a minor complaint just with the design there. Oops, took a hit here. We'll just nuke through the enemies to take care of it. There's also that same problem with the boss fights, where a lot of bosses have multiple parts that you have to destroy, and then there's situations where you might need to pass through certain parts of the boss, and it's once again not clear what you can and can't pass through in all situations. But as far as the plus flavors are concerned, that art is just gorgeous. It looks amazing, and it's kind of hard to believe that this was originally a Dreamcast title. Then another plus flavor for me, just the inclusion of systems that are very, very similar to one of my favorites, Axelay. The way that the weapon system works, where you have the Nordwest that is like the round Vulcan from Axelay, and then how you have those three weapons you can switch between, and depending on which weapon you're equipped on, when you get hit, you'll lose that weapon. I really, really love that. And I also feel that there's a good amount of content in the game for the price point. So this is a title that I give a really hearty recommend to. If you're a fan of horizontal scrolling shoot 'em ups, especially like Axelay, then this one is one you need to have in your collection. Well, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me this week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.